Welcome to Kellogg Public Library's virtual story time. My name is Sherry. The story I'm going to share with you today is Beware of the Storybook Wolves by Lauren Child. Every night, Herb's mother would read to him a bedtime story. Sometimes it was about a big wolf who terrified little girls and their grandmothers with his chilling growl and his big yellow teeth. You could tell from the picture that toothpaste had never been on his shopping list. The story got very nasty in the middle, and everybody nearly came to a sticky end. But by that last page, it had all turned out well and went happily ever afterly. It was one of Herb's favorites. He particularly liked the back cover, which had a picture of a smaller wolf with a patch over one eye and the words, "For a real thrill, try reading the story of the little fierce wolf and the 3 pink piglets. It will scare your socks off." Whenever his mother finished this bedtime story, Herb would say, "Don't forget to take that book with you." And his mother would ask, "Why?" "Because there's a wolf in it, of course," Herb would say. Herb's mother would smile to herself because she knew that storybook wolves were not at all dangerous. One night, just as they were finishing the wolf story, the phone rang, and in her hurry, Herb's mother forgot all about taking the book with her. Herb didn't realize at first, but he was snoozing off. He thought he heard a deep rumbling sound coming from his bedside table. It was like the rumbling of a very hungry tummy, or perhaps 2 very hungry tummies. Then he began to smell a not very nice smell, a sort of bad breath type of a smell. Herb got a funny feeling that 2 or maybe even 3 eyes were watching him. Unwisely, he switched on the light. And there, standing in front of him, was the big storybook wolf, and next to him was the other smaller wolf with a patch over one eye. Herb recognized him as the back cover wolf. Big Wolf said in a low, greedy voice, "I thought I could smell something tasty. I'm going to gobble you up, little boy." And he started to lick his chops. "Oh, can I have his little pink toes? They look just like piglets," said the little wolf. And he tried to lick his chops, but he wasn't very good at it and just ended up dribbling on the carpet. "I wouldn't eat me yet," stammered Herb, desperately trying to think of a plan to distract the wolves from wolfing him down. "Why not?" said the big wolf, giving him a sideways stare. "Yes, why not?" said the little wolf, trying to give him a sideways stare. Because little boys are for dessert. You have to start with appetizers, of course." "I didn't know that," said the big wolf. "Really?" said Herb, feeling a little bit pleased with his own craftiness. "I thought everybody knew that." "Oh, I knew that," said the little wolf. "No, you did not," said the big, slightly less fierce than before wolf. "Yes, I certainly did," said the little wolf, puffing himself up. "Well, if you're so clever, then what's appetizers?" triumphed Big Wolf. You could tell that Little Wolf hadn't heard of appetizers, but not wishing to sound stupid, he shouted, "Jell-O is an appetizer. Everybody knows that." Then Big Wolf and Little Wolf looked at Herb and said, "Where's the Jell-O?" Jell-O, Jell-O, where was the Jell-O? Herb's mind was whirring like a frantic thing. Then he caught sight of his book of fairy tales. He had been looking at it last night and was lying open on the page where the dozy princess falls asleep at her own birthday party. No one at the table would notice if he borrowed the Jell-O. They were all snoozing, tired of waiting for Princess Beautiful to wake up. Herb was so busy struggling to slide the jello off the page, he didn't notice the wicked fairy wide awake and hiding under the table. She had been listening to every word. This was bad luck for Herb, because the wicked fairy hated little boys only slightly less than she hated little girls. They made her very nervous. She'd seen what those little brats Hansel and Gretel had done to that poor defenseless witch. Not only did they nibble her cottage half to pieces, but then they went and shoved her in her own oven. Children put her in a very bad mood indeed. "Oh, you dozy doormats, don't you know anything?" snarled the fairy. "You wolf half-tails give wickedness a bad name. He's tricked you, you twerps. Little boys are appetizers. Jello is dessert." And with that, the wicked fairy jumped back into the book and snapped it shut. First, the wolves went almost purple in the cheeks with embarrassment, but their eyes went all mean and squinty. Herb could tell things had taken a turn for the worse, the really quite bad, so he snatched up the fairy tale book, found the page with the fairy godmother, and shook it until she tumbled out of the book and onto the floor. She was a bit cross, actually, because her dress got crumpled and she nearly twisted her ankle. "Well," she said, "I've got a good mind to turn you into a caterpillar, little boy." "Oh, no," said Herb, "don't turn me into a caterpillar. It's those two who need to be caterpillars." "Oh, no, not you two again," said the godmother, spying the two alarmed wolves. "Always making trouble, blowing people's houses down and gobbling them up without so much as a 'do you mind?'" As she said this, she accidentally waved her wand at the little wolf, and the smoke went poof, just like in the fairy tales. And suddenly there was the little wolf standing in a ball gown. Oh dear, this will never do," said the fairy godmother, shaking her head. "That dress was meant for Cinderella. You shook me out of the book just as I was about to send her to the ball. Awfully nice dress, though. I have an eye for fashion, as you can probably tell, but not at all suitable for a wolf." Little Wolf took one look in the mirror and was so pleased with his new look that he jumped into the fairy tale book and went to the ball himself, which of course left Cinderella having a night in cleaning the kitchen after all. "Oh, well, that's that then," sighed the fairy godmother. "I'm not going to be at all popular at the palace now. I don't know what the king and queen are going to say when a wolf turns up at the ball to dance with their son. I imagine they will be very grumpy about it. I do hope he doesn't start snacking on the guests." The fairy godmother was so engrossed with her own problems that she hadn't noticed the big wolf was poised, ready to swallow Herb in one gulp. "Help!" screeched Herb. Quick as a quick thing, the fairy godmother whooshed her wand, and Big Wolf became a tiny caterpillar. "Oh, I do like caterpillars," said the fairy godmother, popping it back into the wolf storybook. "They're so understanding, or undemanding, never bothering me for things, not like frogs, always thinking they're princes. What's more, I really have had enough of being squashed inside a book, doing favors for spoiled princesses. I'm going to take a vacation somewhere far away from royalty." And in a sudden twinkle of sequins, she disappeared. Before Herb got back into bed, he piled up all his books and then put the heaviest thing he could find on top of them, just in case anyone else was tempted to get out of his story. Then he switched off his light, dreamed fierce caterpillars, fashionable wolves, and grouchy godmothers. The funny thing was, the next time Herb's mother came to read the wolf story, there was no wolf to be seen, just a tiny caterpillar trying with all his might to terrify a little girl in a red coat. And that's the end of that story. Thank you for listening. See you again soon.